I do want to join John Ashcroft, our former U.S. Attorney General. This is a slippery kind of a legal slope, too, I would imagine, John. I mean, they apprehend these men who had wandered into their waters about international jurisdiction. I know we were booked on other matters, my friend, but I am curious what you make of this, because it comes as our two countries are trying to iron out this agreement. It obviously puts salt in a wound here, but what do you make of all this?
Well, obviously where the border is uncertain, and particularly at sea, there can be mistakes made. And if it is confessed as a mistake or if it's resolved as a mistake, that's really something that should be able to happen between nations. Now, if this turns out to be an aggressive act, that's an entirely different matter. I happen also to have a son who operated in the Gulf there on similar vessels, and it's always with these, his job was boarding vessels over there to make sure that there weren't terrorist devices on the vessels, that the vessels were not harboring munitions or other things. And when you get in these small craft and move about to police the area, there's the potential for mistake. So if this is a mistake, it's one thing. If this is an aggressive act, it's entirely something else. And I think we have to be very careful to make sure that we're not being tested by our opponents in the area, and if they believe that we are weak and not responding when there is in fact an aggressive attack, then I think we invite more difficulty.
And there is a history of this with Iran, if you think about it. I mean, obviously, given the Strait of Hormuz, they think that's all their water, their land, their passageway for ships. In fact, they've been known to track, follow, even launch missiles within relative close proximity of ships that interfere, including one of our own just a couple of weeks ago. But it happens more frequently. We've seen the Chinese tempting that on these islands that they've reconfigured the military bases where they're landing jets on. I mean, there is a repetitive nature to this that concerns me. What about you?
Well, I'm concerned, and that's the reason I think we need a president who is a strategic president who understands foreign policy and understands that America is not to be apologized for internationally, but it is to be defended internationally. And other nations will fill vacuums that are left when we vacate or by the absence of leadership fail to defend our interests. Obviously, the Chinese in the South China Sea, the Spratly Islands, to which you have made reference, and people in the Middle East. It's been widely discussed, even among what I would call former Obama administration people, like secretaries of defense and the like, that part of the problem with ISIS was our indecision, and when we didn't act with clarity in regard to Syria, we created a vacuum that was filled by terrorism. We have to be careful that we are strategic and understood to be operating from strength, not from weakness.
All right, John Ashcroft, thank you for your indulgence with all this breaking news. Much appreciated.